A human rights charity has accused the UK government of further traumatising refugee children by not allowing them to reunite with their families. In a new report, Amnesty International has called for the government to change the law to allow asylum-seeking children who arrive in the UK alone to be allowed to have a family member enter the country to stay with them. Hundreds of children have fled to Scotland by themselves over the last 3 years, escaping violence, war and torture in their home countries. Many of them do not have any contact with their families, and do not know if they are alive or dead. Amnesty's Without My Family report has highlighted the plight of children across the UK, and said that the government must take urgent steps to reverse its policy and give these vulnerable young people a right to family life. MP Angus MacNeil has backed their calls, and said that a new parliament provides elected officials the chance to right this wrong. However, Glasgow City Council, which hosts the largest number of asylum seekers in the UK, said many children do not talk about their families on arrival in the city as they are afraid they could be targeted or persecuted. Amnesty's report highlights that around 3,000 lone child asylum seekers arrived in the UK last year, with roughly 300 coming to Scotland. It states that the UK is the only EU country that refuses to grant child refugees the right to be reunited with even their closest family, and is directly at odds with national and international law, contravening the principle of the best interests of the child. SNP MP MacNeil said, "This is an issue of unfinished business for me personally, to which I am deeply committed. 18 months ago, I was lucky enough to secure a private member's bill and, together with the Families Together coalition, we garnered huge cross-party support for the Refugees, Family Reunion bill, with 129 MPs voting in favour. Unfortunately, any further progress was blocked by the UK government." The report by Amnesty International, Refugee Council and Save the Children paints the stark reality of how child refugees who have sought safety in the UK after being forced to leave their home countries are prevented from being joined by their parents, brothers, or sisters. This means the UK is one of the only countries in Europe that refuses to grant child refugees the right to be reunited with even their closest family, directly at odds with national and international law. An issue that struck a chord with parliamentarians across the House was the plea from child refugees who shared their own traumatic stories, such as Imran, forced to flee Afghanistan at just 16 years old, finally finding safety in the UK but dealing with the trauma alone. If the people who work in the government pretend that their child is here. For more on this story, visit the news article link.